Dr. Shapiro's vagina is so dry that when Ben Shapiro has sex, he gets rug burns on his Ben Shapinis. Here's a clip I found of Ben Shapiro getting owned by a college student with just one question.
I just wanted to ask, what's the harm, if somebody's going to be a happier person because they say that they're a man or a woman, what's the harm in just letting them do it?
I'm not in favor of government banning people who are adults. Children I'm in favor of banning because now you're talking about somebody who's not capable of consent. Right? All of our laws are based on the ability of people to consent. If you're a child, you can't consent. So I'm very...
Okay, he lied about the first part of the question, but that wasn't his question. He wasn't asking about kids. He was asking about adults. Nobody was asking about kids. Kids can't get sex changes, but problem is facts don't care about Ben's feelings, and transgender people make Ben feel icky, especially when he's in the bathroom with his pants, standing at a urinal with his pants around his ankles. Anyways, Ben Shapiro, I think, represents a danger to transgender people. And transgender people are definitely endangered. I think they have the highest rate of sexual violence perpetuated against them of any marginalized group. I think what transgender people need is their own national safe space. I've been thinking about where, and I noticed that Ben lives in Nashville. That seems like an endorsement. He says he moved there because of the taxes, but word on the street is his wife is a big fan of country music or country musicians. Plus, she's a doctor, so living in Nashville makes it easier for her to have sex with other men. I think what we should do is move all the transgender people onto all the properties and mansions of all the country singers. And we take all the Tim McGraws and Blake Sheltons and Hooties, and we move them over to Hendersonville. We turn Hendersonville into a nice gated community. Some might say this gated community looks like an open-air prison, but that's only because it is an open-air prison. Because we got to control the cisgendered country singers. Everybody knows that cisgendered country singers, well, are dangerous. See, transgender people, they like to build things. Cisgendered country singers, they like to blow up crap and live in open sewage. Notice I said the word crap because I have the mentality of an 8-year-old who stands at urinals with his pants around his ankles. What we need to do is control the flow of things that go into Hendersonville. We got to control all the roads and make sure we know everyone who's coming in and out. We don't want them to vote. We got to keep it nice. And by the way, you want to make sure that, a lot of people think that they wonder, are we going to be able to reimburse these cisgendered country singers for the mansions that we're going to seize? No, we can't do that. Our tax dollars, I think, are better spent on weaponry. You see, cisgendered country singers can be very dangerous. They throw rocks and bags of pee-pee. Sometimes, and this is true, they take kites and they write hate speech on the kites and they fly them above the transgender town of Nashville so that the transgender people can read them. The only appropriate response to that, of course, is cruise missiles. You gotta lob in moms every once in a while into Hendersonville to make sure that none of the children grow tall. Now, a lot of people would say that this sounds horrible. This sounds like some kind of genocide against cisgendered country music singers. What did the Dixie Chicks ever do to the transgender community? Well, a lot of transgender people might be saying this as well. I'm just here to tell you, those transgender people who are against transgender Nashville are not real transgenders. No, those are drag queens who secretly control the media. Some people might think that me being cisgendered should not even have an opinion about transgendered issues. Ben Shapiro has issues about transgender people, and he's not transgendered, although I did once hear him claim to have a wet ass pussy. Of course, that has nothing to do with being transgender, of course. But it happened. But that idea that A can't discuss B or whatever, that's called standpoint epistemology, and I don't like it. Never been a fan of it. I've always noticed that standpoint epistemology never comes up at the beginning of an argument. It always comes up at the end. It's like when you run out of ammunition and you throw the gun at somebody. You're not black. Ugh. Doesn't make sense. This is how we have empathy, through discussion. This is how laws get passed. For instance, can I not suggest that Ben Shapiro may be, despite the fact that he's Jewish, anti-Semitic when he spreads Nazi-born conspiracy theories about cultural Marxism? Did you know that there's a whole sect of Judaism that believes that Israel is an abomination? Anti-Zionist Jews. They exist. If you were to call somebody, if you were to say, hey, you can't be Jewish unless you're a Zionist, isn't that kind of like Joe Biden saying, hey, corn pop, you ain't black if you vote for Trump? I remember when he said that. I think we all agreed, including Ben here, that that's a little racist. Can't I point out that Benjamin Netanyahu has claimed that Hitler was not responsible for the Holocaust? That seems a little anti-Semitic. I think it seems a little anti-Semitic when he says George Soros is behind a vast left-wing conspiracy to discredit Israel. That seems anti-Semitic, but I'm not allowed to say that, of course. So let's just pretend I didn't say that. What about Barry Weiss? When Barry Weiss says Hamas is secretly controlling the international press. That sounds vaguely familiar. Who else says stuff like that? And who do they say? What do they say? Who do they say that about? If I were to point out that she recently called the murder of Palestinian children a dream come true for her, if I call her a bag of shit for saying that, am I a bad person because I'm not Jewish? Standpoint epistemology does not quite work for me. And so I usually ignore it. I recommend other people do that too. It's a cop-out. I mean, sure, listen, maybe I'm not the right person to make this video. That's true. That's true. But if somebody else made this video, somebody who was transgender or Jewish, if somebody else were to make this video, could they have come up with that Ben Shapinist joke? Maybe. Maybe not. But do we really want to take that chance?